Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to our 4th episode of our Judges series. So to recap of what you guys missed last week, if you didn't get to see it, basically we started this story about the judge Ehud. So beginning before Ehud, the Israelites had lost their way again in this cycle, and they were far away from God. And at that same time, across the Jordan River, there was a nation called Moab, and Eglon was the king of this nation. So Eglon went out and made allies with other nations near him who all had the similar interest of taking over Israel, and they did so. So Corey, tell us more about Ehud.
At this point in the story, Ehud is actually brought in to the king to present a gift for him, but this gift turns out to be a knife, and he ends up killing the king. And we see God using Ehud in very special ways, especially for the differences that Ehud has. He is left-handed, and not to mention a Benjamite, and those are very unique differences that made him lesser than other people at the time. And it really just goes to show that God uses anyone, any of us, even if we have weird traits and things that he can use for his mission.
All right, so that brings us to where we are starting today.
So we will be reading Judges 3, verses 17 through 20.
He presented the tribute to Eglon, king of Moab, who was a very fat man. After Ehud had presented the tribute, he sent on their way those who had carried it. Your Majesty, I have a secret message for you. The king then said to his attendants, "Leave us," and they all left. Ehud then approached him while he was sitting alone in the upper room of his palace, and said, "I have a message from God for you." As the king rose from his seat, Ehud reached with his left hand, drew the sword from his right thigh, and plunged it into the king's belly.
Oh, my bad. What?
Okay, so in that skit, we talked about how Ehud came in and killed Eglon, and Eglon was apparently a fat guy, but I mean...
Really fat.
I mean, I don't have anything to say about that, being the guy that played him. So from Eglon's perspective, what happened was some wee Benjamite, some common person came in and offered me some gift, which I mean, I'm used to because, you know, I was the king. And, well, let's just say he brought a little more than a gift. So he told me that he had a secret for me, and me being the awesome king, I needed to know what that secret was, and I was curious. You know, since I'm the king, I have the power to figure out what it was. So it turns out the secret was something that I really did not want to know about. So Corey, what was it like from Ehud's point of view, Mr. Ehud?
So, from the all-powerful Ehud, just a lowly Benjamite, left-handed, all that stuff, but yet he had a mission from God, and he was invited in even to give the gift, the tribute to the king. And he had a little more to do than just that. Instead, he had his sword on his right thigh, and they didn't check right thighs because most people weren't left-handed. So because of that, he pulled out his sword and he stabbed him, and it went inside of his fat and was covered up by his fat. So after all that story, I just want to ask you, Andrew, so what?
So Corey, my main takeaway from this is that Eglon, the king, wanted to know that secret from Ehud so bad that he ended up making his guards leave him and put him in a vulnerable position just so that he could figure out that secret. Now, there could be multiple reasons. Maybe he wanted more power. He felt like he'd be in the inner loop if he knew that secret. Maybe he was just curious and he had the power and the means to figure out that secret. Either way, Eglon ended up giving up his life for that secret, and it was a secret that really wasn't even that great. Now, in our lives, we may not lose our life because we're trying to figure out a secret or we want to know something, but we can definitely lose parts of ourselves, and we can sacrifice parts of ourselves in order to know that secret and in order to get on the inner loop or gain power in other people's lives. Corey, how did you see it?
So personally, I saw it as that this secret was the only way that Ehud was able to kill a king. This secret killed him, and it was because he told everyone to leave him once he told them he had a secret. And I think that is really powerful and connects to us nowadays, that a lot of times we have secrets that we personally have, and they'll drive us to isolation, just like what happened to the king in the story. And when we get isolated and just focus on our own secrets and don't put them out in the open, they just only do harm over the long term.
So now we're going to go ahead and read you guys the next passage. This is going to be coming from Judges 3, verses 23 through 26.
Even the handle sank in after the blade, and his bowels discharged. Ehud did not pull the sword out, and the fat closed in over it. Then Ehud went out to the porch and shut the doors of the upper room behind him and locked them. After he had gone, the servants came and found the doors of the upper room locked. They said he must be relieving himself in the inner room of the palace. They waited to the point of embarrassment, but when he did not open the doors of the room, they took a key and unlocked them, and there they saw their lord fallen to the floor, dead. While they waited, Ehud got away. He passed by the stone images and escaped to Syria.
So Corey, go ahead and tell us what happened in that skit.
So in that skit, Ehud escaped because he didn't make much noise and they were isolated. And the guards didn't want to go in initially because they smelled that foul stench from the king, and they were kind of embarrassed to go in because they thought he was going to the restroom. And the door was also locked, so they just decided to wait.
Yeah, and eventually the stench got so bad that it started getting awkward amongst the guards, and they're like, wow. And they realized that, something was probably up, and after a while they decided to go in, and as they shown, the guards got a key and went in, and by that time, Ehud had already gone. He had gone out a side room through the porch or whatever escape route that he found, and that was really the main reason that he was able to escape, is because they just waited way too long for them to go in and check that out.
And Andrew, let me ask you this. We read this story about this exciting adventure, but how does this apply to nowadays? So what?
So Corey, the guards that were standing outside of the door waited too long, and their opportunity to catch Ehud passed. And it's crazy that, we may not be guarding a door for our king, but there's a lot of opportunities that we need to chase and we need to pursue, that we wait too long, whether that's from laziness or just lack of motivation to go after those opportunities. And some of those examples in my life are whether it's playing a game and you can wait this long and get this much more money than if you were to cash in now. Or if it's something as socially, like maybe you need to invest in somebody's life and you're in a really good spot with them right now and this is your chance, but you think, nah, I'll wait and do it. And that moment passes and you guys aren't friends anymore, and you lose that opportunity to make such a big impact in their life that God has given you the opportunity for. Now, Corey, what is your thoughts on this whole idea of waiting?
Well, I really agree with what you said there, but I think in our real world, there's also a time where we don't wait enough. And some simple examples of this would be one time I bought an airsoft gun off of eBay, and if I would have waited a couple more weeks, I probably could have gotten it like $40 cheaper. Why that's just a simple purchase. Sometimes we're called to wait longer, or it would even help in many scenarios to wait longer, like that one of helping a friend. So I really think that it's not always, there's a place to meet in the middle between the two of those. So now we'd like to introduce some questions to you all at home to answer with the people around you.
So the first question we want to ask you guys is, what is an opportunity that you guys have either missed or overlooked or even jumped the gun on? Basically, what is an opportunity that you've missed out on?
And the second question is there a opportunity in your life to let someone else in?
And lastly, our third question for you guys is, how can you find the wisdom to tell the difference between an opportunity that you need to jump on right now and an opportunity that you need to wait longer to invest in?
So thank you guys for joining us. Please like and subscribe and leave us feedback in the comments. And we will see you next week.
But I'm not going inside. Cycles.
Action.
He presented the tribute to Eglon, king of Moab.
Never heard of that place.
Yeah, we're
All right.
singing from the longest.
3.
I'm here.
He did.
Yeah, get ready to go.
Okay, and action.
3, 2, 1.